all plants are indicator species, right, of what the system is allowing to happen there. There's plenty of books out there, When Weeds Talk, Weeds and What They Tell Us. There's plenty of resources out there that kind of help us understand what's going on there. But the thing about it is, and I know there's times I slip and I call them weeds too, but are they really weeds? Are we, um, do we have our management in place to where we can potentially utilize those? Because the minute we can turn those into an income stream, instead of an expense, then that's money back in our pockets, right? So with thistles, it's typically a calcium issue, compaction issue, but also there's times where if you just leave it be, they'll self-correct that issue, and they're going to essentially kill themselves out of that environment, if you will. So I guess it depends on what you can stand to look at, what your landlords can stand to look at. I don't worry so much about thistles. Um, Actually, I've used chickens as a tool against thistles. Chicken, you can put a chicken through a razor blade plate, I think, and they're going to be fine. I'm talking laying hens here.
Yep.
But they will trample thistles like nothing. So if it's something you can't stand to look at, hang your feeders or if you got a feeder inside your eggmobiles, place that above wherever the thistles are, and you'll annihilate thistles. If you've got certain times of the year, cattle will actually pick the heads off of thistles. I've seen people train them with molasses, but you don't even need to go that far if you don't want to. Just proper stock densities, keeping animals in there for a short burst period of time will do wonders. You got to remember that if animals aren't eating certain species that we're wanting them to, now doesn't mean we want to force them to eat everything, because there are some species out there that if they get too much, can cause some issues. But if we can create that competitiveness within that group, they're going to go pick and choose, because now they have to go get something to eat, or else they're going to miss out on, they know they're going to miss out on probably that favorite best bites. They got to eat what's next. So, thistles, I don't really worry so much about, um, unless you've got an extreme issue, but use some of the tools, like I say, chickens are phenomenal at it. So,
Yes, yeah, and funny that thistle conversation. I had it with several folks earlier today at a different event I was at, and a lot of them had the same response that you just had. Let it
yeah,
be, and within a year or two, it generally fixes itself. Now, if you
yeah,
start going to mow it and doing things like that, and you're really spreading the seed and doing things, then you start seeing more issues. But like I say, if you can stand
yeah.
and look at it, let it be, let it be. So another question I had today, Foxtail. So a lot of these are the same questions I've addressed at a different event today. So Foxtail, what
Mhm.
are our thoughts? My response, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, unless it's in vast quantity, that's really good free summer annual feed.
That's poor man's pearl millet, is
Yeah.
what I call it. Um, it can be a burden, but really with your warm season, it's a warm season species there. So the sooner we can get out there, if we're battling it after wheat and things like that, getting something properly established, it'll choke out pretty well. If it's already got a foothold and started, though. It depends on what your goals are, what your context is. It's very easy to kill if you do need to kill it, right? So a slight snort of Roundup will take care of that and allow your cover crops to come on after that. If you're dealing with in pastures, well, um, it's an easy growing plant, so it tells us that you've probably bared up that area a little too much. And it's just an opportunistic plant that's going to be one of the first ones to be there, early succession kind of plant. And it's going to be one of the first things to cover that ground, just like crabgrass. It's going to be there to help cover that soil, get something growing. No, it doesn't have extreme nutritional value for a long period of time, but there is a period there where it is, fairly decent. But like I said, sometimes you're better off to deal with what you have. Like I said, we're talking about biology here too, right? In this talk, so it is feeding biology, right? So it's not that it's a wasted plant or a worthless plant. It's stimulating biology in some way, shape, and form.
Yep. And these weeds or forbs, they're like you said earlier, they're all telling us something about that particular area that they're in, and it's kind of I've heard it used as the soil's band-aid. If
Yeah.
something was scarred up or there's some overgrazed areas that has bare soil, those are filling in the holes.